Okay, on the show today, someone I've been in very long been in contact with for a while online, but this is my first time actually chatting properly with Divya Kohli, who is a yoga instructor, mindfulness facilitator from London. So, Divya, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. You do feel like an old friend.
Have you been stalking the videos and the Facebook? And I think we've had quite a lot of Facebook interaction over the years as well.
Yeah,
right?
I think we're both on there a little bit.
Let's start with your journey then. Tell us how you got interested in the body, Divya.
Okay, so actually my background's more head, meaning journalism and news and history and psychology, and so that's kind of things I've been interested in, and literature. So pretty much everything from a young age. And following on from that, actually, if we're talking about work, my early years were in journalism and news and politics. And there's a much longer story behind that. Let's see if I can shorten it right now. So some people might remember a female war correspondent called Kate Adie.
Oh, yeah, super famous. She was like the war correspondent.
Yeah, so she was actually an early inspiration for me when I was very young, and I saw her on TV. And I actually said to my parents, I said, why are there no other women reporting from war zones? And I ended up meeting her as a teenager, and I had it in my mind that I would grow up and I would report from war zones. And I was very serious about that. That was an intention. So I said I'd give the short version, didn't I? So I did get into news. I ended up working on papers for a little bit. And actually, now with your question, so a few years into working on a daily newspaper, I was physically getting quite run down. Probably not a surprise if you consider that kind of lifestyle.
Long lifestyle, party hard, work hard. Yeah. Journalism.
Particularly in those days as well. You know, those kinds of industries were a bit more hardcore than they are now. So there was that side of it, but just the nature of it, the daily being on it and alert, together with quite high expectations upon myself and my delivery and all of this. And I could feel, well, the classic symptoms early on, trouble sleeping, feeling run down, just physically feeling not great. I didn't have any sort of health or well-being element in my life, and it was we're talking sort of in the 90s here. Things like mental health and well-being, of course, they've been around forever, but it wasn't sort of.
It wasn't on the radar in such a big way. Was it? In certain industries, it was just like, look, get up, get on with it. Exactly. It wasn't like, hey, here's your mindfulness class that we provided for your corporate stress. I mean, being off work with stress wasn't really a thing. Times have changed, haven't they?
Exactly, you've nailed it right there, because I've often looked back and, well, I don't often look back, but when I get asked, I often get asked, oh, journalist to yoga teacher, that's a big jump. What happened? And was it that you discovered yoga and you did this whole thing of follow your passion? And it was like, well, no, it wasn't quite like that. But I wonder if I had something like yoga and mindfulness in my life then, whether I could have found a way of navigating what the challenges were rather than ditching my job, ditching my lifestyle, leaving the country, who knows. But so there you go. That is kind of what occurred, and I didn't see a way out of how to managing the stress. So I ended up leaving the industry, and I had a few years exploring career-wise, maybe what I could do. Always wanted to find something, like so many of us do, that felt meaningful and had a purpose and was making a difference. All of these things. So I had a foray in quite a range of different areas, such as social work, charity work, and the yoga element comes in a little bit before that, in my early 20s, which was a by accident story. If I know some people think there are no such things as accidents, but let's just say it was for now. And so that's coming home from work. So this is from the paper I was working on. perhaps with a cigarette in my hand and on the way to a pub. And this is in northwest London where I live in Kilburn. Yeah.
Sounds like a very Kilburn journalistic type story, I can imagine.
Yeah. Well, in those days there were loads of pubs, and now they're delicatessens, but that's a whole other story.
Has Kilburn got up market? I haven't been there in a few years. It always used to be a sort of dodgy Irish kind of
no, now it's well, actually, oh gosh, we're on to Kilburn now. We can come back.
Continue the story. We'll come back to London.
We'll come back to that, yeah. But actually a pub where I did used to drink, so I was heading there. It was a nice sort of sunny day, a bit like what we've got right now. And there were some people hanging outside this pub with yoga mats on their back. And I don't know if I even knew if it was a yoga mat. And they got chatting to me while I was just, having my cigarette on the street. And they were telling me about this yoga class, which was literally above the pub where I used to drink.
Was this before yoga was cool? Or was it during that sort of 90s?
Way before yoga was cool. So in my head, I was thinking smelly hippie. And I didn't really kind of have much. I
still think that's accurate. That's totally accurate.
Yeah. And but they were quite persuasive. I don't know why, but about me trying this class.
Yeah.
And they got me there and then to try that class. And one of the ladies there lent me her jogging pants, and it was this little room above a pub. You could hear the pub downstairs, and we went in, and her pants were far too big, so I had to like put something to try and tie it round. And the teacher was shall we say of an older age, and in black leotard and leggings, blonde.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, my mum's yoga, love it.
Yeah.
I love a bit of that these days. I love a bit of that. Yeah, okay.
So, she looked like a Barbara, but her name wasn't Barbara, it was Gilly, and she was probably in her 70s, and she could do everything, all the moves. But I do remember, and it's that thing of, ask me what I did yesterday, I won't remember, but there's certain things I can remember. I can remember probably 10-15 minutes into that class feeling, I wouldn't say good, but feeling open, something a little different, a little bit happy.
Something's going on, right? People have, and the yoga does that quite quickly. I think it's one reason yoga is so popular, because you can go quite quickly, oh, I feel a bit better.
Yeah, exactly. There's something in that. And by the way, I was not an exercise girl before that. I abhorred exercise. No healthy lifestyle, nothing like that. So I did complete that class, and I ended up going back to that class weekly. And meanwhile, my other life is just carrying on. And this was like a little bit of it wasn't a secret life, but a little tiny compartment of my life that I kept going on. So having said I wasn't very healthy, I was quite nerdy, probably still am a little bit. And so what I did do, so internet had been born, but it wasn't what it was now either. So I got books and VHS tapes, and I just read and learned.
VHS, how are we going to explain a VHS to the kids? That's a really big memory stick that you...
Yeah, like a brick, and it goes into...
I had VHS of aikido. Okay, cool. So you got into what main styles did you practice after that?
Did you say what styles?
Yeah. What were some of the main influences?
So that was Hatha, and I sort of kind of learned from books and videos, mainly went to that class. Then, so meanwhile, the life, my sort of working life's carrying on. So this is just my own sort of passion happening. So on that trajectory, I did then go into Ashtanga. This is when Ashtanga started becoming popular.
Sure.
Yeah, then I went completely the other way, Iyengar, then Vinyasa. But when I say I did that, I would be trying out those classes, but what I was doing at home was my own thing. So I had a daily home practice from the start. Kept going on, and there's quite disciplined on that. And it was a morning daily practice, and I wouldn't call that anything in particular. And it had the pranayama in it from the start. So probably I had a nice influence in that teacher. But yeah, I was trying these different styles. I get into them, get really passionate, and then I think, that's a bit narrow, and then go the other way, and then think, that's it, and that's you might like this because I know you travel a lot and you're really interested in cultural difference. And so what I'm about to share is going to sound a bit simplistic, but it's true. So the more I'm getting into yoga, the more my spare time is being swallowed up by yoga and yoga exploration. So I've had some time in India. Before that, I did a 2-year part-time yoga training in the UK. And then I also did a training in America. And my God, so different. So different.
All right. And you're British born and bred, right? I mean, you sound as British as it
Oh,
gets.
not quite. No, I'm Indian born and British bred.
Okay, so you were born in India, but you moved here pretty young, I'm guessing.
Very young, yeah.
Very young, okay.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So that's a whole other bag of conversations and how I feel about culture and God. Anyway, let's stick to the.
Well, you can stay with it, whatever you like. So you're doing yoga in India, America, Britain, and it's pretty different. You're telling me.
Really different, yeah. So just a simplistic but honest take on it. So when I was in India, which was quite a long training and time I was there for, it was very much, and it was Indian teachers, so I'll emphasize that. It wasn't a European center or, it was Indian. I can do that, and I can put on the accent and no one can have a go because I'm Indian. So
do it, because I'm not allowed.
Yeah. No, you are. With me, anything goes, I promise you.
Listen, it's not you I'm worried about. It's Johnny McOffended pants on the internet. So
I've lost tons of friends these last few weeks, so I'll just say bring it on anyway.
Yeah, so you're learning all these different styles, different cultural differences. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So in India it was, here's a book, learn it by tomorrow, and if you don't, you're off the course. So there's an example. In the UK, my training was so thorough and so engaging and so question and answer and, health and safety mad. And my training in America was all about find your voice, be your individual self, all about presentation. And look what we, and it's still, I think that's still kind of true today. So it's quite interesting when, you can look over that. Okay, so work-wise, quotes, earning a living wise, not yet a yoga teacher, but eventually I never actually chose to be a yoga teacher. I still kind of wonder, but so I had left the journalism, I'd left some of the jobs that I'd tried and didn't find fulfilling enough, and it was the choice of moving back home with no money in the bank account, or really trying to quickly find a job. And it was my mother who said, look, you're probably the most trained, qualified teacher in the country at the moment, because I'd had about 4 trainings and 16 years of practice and all this. And she said, why don't you teach yoga? And I was like, no, that's not how it works. You get asked by a senior teacher to maybe offer it as a service. So I'd always come to yoga from that kind of standpoint. Some people call that spiritual, but I just call it what it is. That's how I felt about it. But needs must. So I wrote, so we're talking now, what are we talking, sort of early 2000s, I sort of wrote to every health club in London, and now yoga's popular and they've got their yoga teachers and, they got their stacks. So my CV is going to the bottom of the lever arch file in every, health club. But then I did get a call. And of course, it was from a club the other side of London, and it was winter, and there was no public transport, and it was like, could you cover in a few hours? And I was like, yes, because now it's needs must. It was my first ever class, and I did it, and it was a bit like my first experience of doing yoga within a very short time of teaching. There were 2 people, so 2 people made it. Good for them, actually. It was, snow and all of this. So just the beginning of teaching my first ever class, the feeling was, I feel really engaged in a way I've never felt engaged before. It's really focused, and not just in my head, but with another person. And I trundled home. It took me hours to get home, and I was again very happy. So it's this kind of euphoria little feeling. Mm-hmm. And I was quite I still wasn't sure whether, could I then just now present myself and call myself a teacher, but I ended up following that, and ended up, then there's the whole yoga teacher path over the last sort of 16 years, and that's obviously.
So you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, I mean.